less back braking to work on the engine. Now all I have to do is get the hood off and then I'll be all set to go. Got my fenders covers on. Okay, here we go with one of the mass airflow sensors. Yank it off after pushing down on the wire retainer thing. Grab my official pick here. Try and get the boot off. Okay, wires are exposed. Now, when the instructions say, basically, they will personally come and shoot you if you do not take a picture and write down each wire and what slot it's in. You probably can't see this, but along the base there are numbers to each wire slot. So I got my handy dandy camera here, and I am going to take a picture of the colors of the wires and the numbers, and then on the old-fashioned piece of paper with pen I'm going to write down the colors. So I'm going to stop for a minute and do that. Okay, I have taken a picture of my wires. I have written down on a piece of paper the colors in the slots. Now, if you haven't done automotive wiring, be careful. There are a lot of wires that have a main color with a stripe on it, so you have to double check when you're looking at the wires what the stripe is and what the majority color is. And now, according to the instructions, you just start cutting about 5 millimeters from the end of the plug. Okay, the plug is out. And now, if you look at this thing carefully, there are little 2 slots to each opening. So I'm going to use my 2-slot tool here to pop these things out. Okay, here we go. Let's start with the wire down here. I put my hemostats on. That's why we left the 5 millimeters to grab with the hemostats. And I basically push it like I'm pushing it outward. Flip it over and I'm going to pop my 2-prong tool in the 2 holes here. So I push the wire up, push the tool down, and hopefully nothing happens. Okay, push the wire up harder, put the tool in, and it pops out. There's one down. Grab the next wire, shove it forward. Take my 2-prong tool, poke it in the holes, push down, yank, and there's another one. Third one, push up, poke my tool in the holes, sounds kind of rude, yank, oop. Yep. Okay, didn't work, so we have to push up a little harder. Put the tool in. Yank. And once again we fail. There we go. Now I'll do the other 3 and we will be done. Okay, I have all my little pins out. I have a almost naked plug here, but there's a little gasket inside that the instructions say to pull out. There it is. Gonna clean it off and turn it over. In the meantime, I'm supposed to clean this off with some contact cleaner. Official Radio Shack contact cleaner. Okay. Spray that on. Wipe off the excess. And then instructions say, blow it with a hose. So here we go. Okay, clean and dry. And now I put my gasket back in. And that's ready to go. Okay, now we have to deal with the wires. I'm going to go ahead and pull this boot off because that's going to go in the trash. I have my fancy boot probe thing here. I'm going to get my new boot out. So, new boot. Get my official boot grease. And my official Q-tip. Apparently a little dab will do you, so that's all I'm going to do. I'm going to smear it up the rear end of the boot here. And lube my rocket ship here. Okay. Insert rocket ship into boot till the tip comes out the end. Keep sliding till you get to the joint. Now the tip comes off and it's loaded onto its dispenser. Okay, I'm going to now slip. There's actually a hole in this thing. Slip it over the wires here. And over part of the housing. Okay, until it won't go no further. Okay, now, keeping the tool and the housing in the same relationship, I squeeze or push the boot onto the housing. Looks pretty good. I'm going to pull the tool back and I should have, hey, wires, okay. Okay, next thing is going to be to trim all the wires to the famous 5mm. Although the wire stripper that comes with it is very fancy, I actually find these crappy ones work a little better for these real thin gauge wires. So I'm just going to pop it on there. There we go. And there's my wire stripped. And next one. Stripped. And I'm going to do all 6 of them. Okay, lesson learned. The harder it is to strip these wires, turns out the more corroded the wires are. So I actually cut the housing back a little bit more, cut the wires back a little bit more until I got to something that looks like copper instead of corroded copper, which probably was explaining all my little check engine lights popping on and off. I also give you a little brush for trying to clean up the copper too, but the stuff I first was stripping off was so ugly looking I thought it was worth